We had it in place this morning, going to keep it in place through Thursday morning as well. So the impact here, we're talking about that cold air that has settled in across the area, the coldest air that we've seen so far. So those temperatures will get quite chilly as we head into tonight. Those winds gusting up over 40 miles per hour this afternoon. Those wind chills, they're likely going to be down into the 30s. We had a few upper 30s around this morning. That will be the case heading out the door for tomorrow. So make sure you do stay updated. Grab those coats and sweaters. You will need them. Now that front blew through yesterday evening. We're on the backside of that low now. So those winds are going to be quite gusty. All the rain and wet weather well to our south and east up through portions of the Tennessee and Ohio valleys today. So we're on the backside of that area of low pressure as it moves on away. But those winds out of the northwest behind that low will stay quite gusty. They have been up over 40 miles per hour. And as we look at those right now, especially in our northeastern counties, heading out to McKinney, 41 mile per hour wind gusts there for you, 43 getting out to Paris, and still 44 heading out to Fort Worth. So as the low pulls away, the winds will begin to ease up. Not quite as gusty with those winds, but still well up over 30, even over the far western parts of North Texas here late this morning. So the wind advisory through 7 p.m. here this evening with those sustained winds in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range. But we will have those gusts 40 plus, as you just saw here, maybe even getting closer to 50 in a few places here as we go through the day. Getting you out to Fort Worth, that tower cam, it's a little shaky here late this morning. 44 mile per hour wind gusts there, 57 degrees. Plenty of sunny skies out there for you, though. That's the case coming back over to Fair Park as well. A 31 mile per hour wind gust right now, and the temperatures there, 57. So we'll have those upper 50s all around the Metroplex for you this morning. Heading over to Rockwall, you're at 58, 59 getting out to Kaufman here, and 58 coming back over to Arlington, 57 there as we head over to Weatherford. So it's chilly out there. We're going to try to warm things up a little bit more, but not much. Probably not getting out of the low 60s as we head later into today. That normal high 73, so well below that for today. And then we'll have the clear skies, lighter winds as we head into tonight. So those temperatures will be dropping for us as we head into tonight. Now, as we look at the wind gust forecast between noon and say midnight tonight, still going to be looking at those winds up over 40, maybe up as high as 48 with the wind gusts as we head into the afternoon hours today. Heading towards 7 p.m. still up around 30 plus miles per hour, but then they do begin to ease up, but still breezy overnight tonight. So you're still going to feel that chill with those clear skies and lighter winds. Again, it will get quite chilly heading out the door for tomorrow morning. We'll dip down into the upper 30s, I think, over the western parts of North Texas, heading out toward Mineral Wells around 37, maybe as cold as 38, heading over to Decatur. Low 40s, though, elsewhere. That normal low 52, so we're going to be well below that. So again, we're going to keep that weather alert going through at least tomorrow morning. Now, as we look ahead, heading toward the Halloween, I know you're making plans for the trick-or-treaters, the adults who will be partying as well on Friday night. I'm sure we're looking at upper 60s around 5 p.m. Those winds coming back around out of the southeast. So temperatures begin to moderate a little bit. It does get cool as we head into Friday evening as we're looking at some upper 50s. But so maybe that light jacket or sweater underneath that costume heading on out on Friday. All right, here is that 14-day forecast for you. We'll be around 70 for that high on Friday. And then as we do fall back on Sunday, we'll start out around 46 or so. Sunday morning, that high around 71. And that warming trend will continue for us a little bit through at least the middle of next week as we'll have highs in the upper 70s and then turning slightly cooler after that late next week.
Want to bring you an update on Hurricane Melissa, which is going down in the history books for all the wrong reasons. It is having tremendous catastrophic impacts to several island nations, Jamaica, Cuba, now moving on to the Bahamas. It has sustained its major hurricane strength for a record 80 hours plus. At this point, it's a Cat 2 hurricane, has 100-mile-an-hour wind speeds. It's moving towards the northeast at 14, so it's exited Cuba and now pushing into the Bahamas, where it will do more damage, not just with the wind, but with the torrential downpours. Category 2 hurricane impacts there through this evening, and then the storms pushes into the Atlantic as it makes its way towards Bermuda. Still expected to be either a strong end Cat 1 hurricane or a weaker end Cat 2, making yet another land interaction. Not a direct hit this time, but on the dirty side of the storm, the right side, Bermuda is looking to get some effects from Melissa as well. Now, for the immediate short term, an additional 5 to 10 inches of rainfall expected for the Bahamas. Portions of Cuba have received close to 2 feet of rain, in addition to a very deadly storm surge. And of course, the terrain in Cuba, the terrain in Jamaica, makes for a very, very dangerous mudslide situation, flash flooding situation. And so cleanup efforts are going to be ongoing. It's a story we will continue to update you on as the storm finally makes its exit. So hurricane force winds for the Bahamas beginning this afternoon, lasting all the way through this evening. By tomorrow is when the storm finally pushes out of the way and takes a break before again heading closer towards Bermuda. Here at home, we've got a much quieter forecast, and really just in time for Halloween, we've dropped our temperatures significantly. We had that fall front roll in yesterday. Yes, it gave us some showers, a few rumbles of thunder here and there, but for the most part, it's done a really good 180 with the temperature outlook. So for your Halloween, 72 is going to be your high temperature. If you're out and about trick-or-treating, you will enjoy the 60s. If you're out late at night celebrating, you will enjoy the 50s. So maybe you bring a little outer layer with you as you go about enjoying the holiday. Winds are going to be much more calm by Friday at just 5 to 10 miles an hour. They are really breezy out this afternoon. Gusts are getting up to 40 miles an hour so far, but we could see even stronger wind gusts throughout the remainder of the afternoon. Right now, gusting to 36 at IAH, 39 at Hobby Airport, Pearland. Your wind gust is at 35, 33 for Tomball. Outside of it being really, really breezy, it's really, really beautiful. Bright blue sky right now, not a cloud in sight. 65 degrees, your current temperature at the big airport. 64 for Galveston, for Brenham, 65 for Tomball, and if you're in Pearland, you are also enjoying the mid-60s, sitting at 64 degrees. This is a huge temperature drop from yesterday. We're down by 19 degrees compared to yesterday afternoon, and I showed you the wind gusts, sustained winds, so the steady wind, you can see it from the flag right there. The Corpus building is pretty impressive too. It's at 26 miles per hour. It's coming out of the northwest, and so that has really dropped our humidity. Dew points in the 30s. We rarely see it get that dry. So it is a really crisp air outside. Temperature drop in your neighborhood looks like this. Down by 17 degrees in Huntsville and in Livingston. Down by 20 for Brenham, for Columbus. 21 degree drop in Sugar Land, Angleton, and along the Brazoria coastline. High temperatures are not going to jump a whole lot from where they are right now. I think we're all maxing out in the upper 60s today. 68 El Campo and Bay City. If you're in Sugar Land, you make it up to 67. Down the Gulf Freeway, League City is at 67 for today. And Galveston, a nice cool 63. Sunny, beautiful, but yes, very breezy. So we have a wind advisory to look out for. This is until 7 o'clock tonight. Those gusts could get up to 50 miles an hour. So if you haven't checked in on your Halloween decorations yet, take a peek outside. Hopefully they didn't blow over into your neighbor's yard. And if you can, go ahead and secure it, because we're going to have several hours where the wind is howling, and it's not just the wind. Like I said, it's really dry out there, and so a few of us have an even increased risk for fire danger today. Our counties highlighted there in red. So this is Austin, Colorado, Wharton, down to Matagorda. You have a higher risk for fire starts and fire spreads because of the really dry air, the dry brush. Remember, our western cities and counties are under a higher drought category, and the wind. The wind is a problem because if a fire does start, it is much more easily spread under these conditions. So what's going on in the upper levels? We've got high pressure that's starting to move in, low pressure that's starting to move out. Whenever we see these two systems really close together, high flows towards low. We call this the pressure gradient force. So the tighter they are together, the stronger the wind. Once these two get a little bit more spread apart and start to release from their hold on each other, wind starts to relax. So that's what we'll see tomorrow. Less windy, definitely chilly, cool start to the day. I'll show you those morning lows in a second. And then by the afternoon, still nice and cool. The sunshine feels really nice. High pressure is still around for us on our Halloween, and that is going to make for a really nice Halloween treat, which is the weather. It's going to be sunny and mild. Your next 3 days look like this. So we talked about today's high temperature, 66 degrees. Tomorrow, 68, and then for Halloween, 72. Notice you really don't have anything to worry about in terms of rain just yet. You like those high temperatures? How about these overnight lows? 47 degrees, your morning start temperature tomorrow, 46 for your Friday. That is well below average for this time of year, so that front has really done a number on us and brought us not just to where we should be, but far below. Temperatures start climbing a little bit into the weekend, and then we get another reset, another push of that cooler north air as we head into the start of the week. And that push comes by way of another front, and it arrives on Saturday. So here's your rain potential. None to watch today, tomorrow through Friday, but we do have a 30% chance for some showers on our Saturday. It'll be brief, and then we're back to a dry forecast on Sunday. So here's a look at your rain potential. Should start by late afternoon on Saturday, think 4 or 5 o'clock, and continue until about 10. This is not going to be a ton of rainfall. In fact, the models are putting out maybe about a widespread half-inch potential. Some spots could pick up just a little bit more. Other spots will pick up a lot less. The bottom line is Saturday night is when you will be wise to carry an umbrella, at least in the car, for those evening plans. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the week. Today, remember, cool but breezy. Look out for the fire danger. Tomorrow, winds relax. Temperatures keep trickling down. 40s to start again on Friday. Temperatures upper 60s to low 70s through the end of the work week. Then we're tracking a couple of evening storms on Saturday. Those end by the time you're waking up on Sunday, which, by the way, you get to wake up an hour later on Sunday because we fall back. So we gain an hour of sleep, which will be fantastic, and you get to ease into the work week nice and relaxed. We'll be back into the 40s for our morning low temperatures come Monday, come Tuesday. Lots of sunshine there, and those temperatures nice and mild too for the afternoons in the upper 60s and low 70s.
You can tell by the counties that are in magenta, those are the ones that have the red flag warning. Winds out of the northwest at 20 with gusts around 35. The humidity is in the teens. So with that low humidity and with the winds, do not burn anything outdoors. A fire will get out of control very quickly. Notice these counties in purple, by the way, just outside the viewing area. There is a freeze warning that is in effect for those counties. Doesn't affect our viewing area. That's from around Junction and northward from there. But it'll just tell you, once these winds decouple overnight with these clear skies and with this cool air in place, temperature is going to drop pretty rapidly overnight. But I want you to keep in mind until 7 o'clock that we do have this red flag warning in effect. Extreme fire danger out there, so just be careful. All right, Halloween, since we were talking about it, this is, it's only a couple days away. I've been saying this for about 10 days now that we were going to have a nice Halloween, and it does look like it's going to be nice with highs in the mid-70s, a nice evening with temperatures mainly in the 60s for all those trick-or-treaters. I think it's going to be great. Clear skies, temperature right now 63. Low this morning 53, the record low 33. It can get really cold this time of the year, and the record high 89. By the way, yesterday we did break a record at 91. We hit 91 briefly before the front moved in. Okay, for the rest of the afternoon, I think we'll get into the upper 60s, 69 degrees. And then this evening, if you have anything planned, in the lower 60s and upper 50s if you're out too late. All right, temperatures most locations in the 60s, but Fredericksburg still 59 degrees with those northerly breezes. That cold front is pushed well into the Gulf of Mexico. High pressure is going to try to build in, and I think it's going to get closer to us overnight tonight. That's why I think those winds will go pretty light. Look at the northerly flow aloft. Some good support behind that frontal boundary. There's going to be a little weak disturbance that comes in on Saturday. I've got to throw in a 20% chance, but with this kind of a weak disturbance like that kind of coming around and just glancing us, I think East Texas, Louisiana has a much better chance of picking up rain than we do. All right, highs today, 69. Tomorrow morning, lower 40s, maybe even lower than what the computer model is showing. I'm thinking lower 40s. And in the hill country, Hondo, some places are going to be in the 30s. All right, looking at Hurricane Melissa, well, it's lost a little punch. A 100-mile-per-hour hurricane continues to weaken, but going to be moving over the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. All right, mold is heavy, ragweed is light. Here's your 14-day. It's an impact day today. Do not start any fires outdoors this afternoon. And then tomorrow morning, chilly, low 41, high 74 on Thursday. Thursday. Halloween, low 44, high right around 76. And then as we head into Saturday, 20% chance of a thunderstorm, high 75. Not a very good chance for rain. Front moves through. Don't forget to fall back 1 hour. Sunday afternoon is going to be absolutely beautiful. Early next week, upper 70s to around 80, 82 to 83 for Thursday and Friday of next week, and perhaps another front on the 8th.
This is from our roof camera overlooking the First Texas Honda across the street, and look at the Lone Star State flag. It is fluttering very rapidly in those winds because right now it's variable at 7 miles an hour at Camp Mabry, but there are a lot of places with gusts getting close to 40 miles an hour, and temperatures are currently in those lower 60s, and we're still in those lower 60s for areas along and east of I-35. It's still in those upper 50s out in some sections of the hill country, but as we zoom things out a little bit wider, it could be colder, folks. Look at this out in Denver, down to 40 at this time of day. It's almost 10:45 a.m. that particular time zone, and there are places like Phoenix and LA still in those upper 70s, but much cooler. The fall has finally made it across the entirety of most of the United States. There's that area of low pressure that's catalyzed this strong area of northwesterly winds. And you've got high pressure right over here over some sections of the Intermountain West. And when you have that very strong pressure gradient, that's where you get those really fast winds. And they can kick up some allergens in addition to the fire danger risk. But we've got grass and mold medium, ragweed is in the low, and you can find this each and every day on KVUE.com and the KVUE app. Getting to the mid 60s this afternoon, maybe even some upper 60s in some sections of the coastal plains. And we're going to be getting down to the lower 40s here in town. But there are some areas out in the hill country that may get down all the way to those upper 30s, like very close to that freezing mark in some spots in our outer fringes. Wind gusts could get up to around 35 miles an hour, maybe even 50 miles an hour in some isolated spots between noon and around 4 and 5 o'clock. And that's why we have that wind advisory in effect for all of us here in Central Texas, with the exception of Mason County. Now we have our fire outlook that is very high to extreme for the entirety of the KVUE viewing area. And that's why everyone in Central Texas does have a burn ban. So please, 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 do not burn anything outside at all. So between now and 7 p.m., that's going to be our weather impact alert period. So please avoid any and all things that may cause a spark. I think it would be a good idea not to smoke today either. So please weigh down those loose objects as well. We don't want to have any issues with that either. Over the next few days, though, we are going to be staying mostly in those lower 70s, so we're going to be well below our average high, which is 78. Humidity values are going to stay low over these next several days, even on Saturday, where I do have an isolated shower chance for the UT home football game against Vanderbilt. Also, Austin FC taking on LAFC, game 2 of their 3-game playoff series. It's going to be on Sunday with sunny skies and lower 70s throughout the entirety of these next several days.
Weather impact alert still in effect. Wind advisory is out for 40-mile-an-hour gusts out of the north. We had a cold morning, and winds are still gusting upwards of 35 miles an hour, basically in spurts throughout the day. Right now, 26 miles an hour here in Temple. And again, northerly flow in place, very dry air in place, sunny skies, otherwise beautiful. I mean, it's only 60 degrees right now. You could keep your sweater on. This afternoon, we're only going to go up another 5 degrees or so when we hit our daytime highs. So again, the wind advisory is out through 7 o'clock this evening for the entirety of our viewing area. We are sustained between 15 and 25 and gusting upwards of 35 and 40 miles an hour. So not only do we start out cold, we've been windy and will stay that way throughout this afternoon. We only top out at about 65. That's today's weather story in general. 55 Meridian right now. Still struggling to hit 60 in many locations, actually. 58 in Killeen right now, 61 degrees out in Hearn. They've got a red flag warning, that hot pink color down by San Antonio and the surrounding areas. They have very dry fuels in place, elevated risk for grass fires to pop up. You certainly don't want to be burning brush even here in Central Texas, where we are just under the wind advisory. High temperatures this afternoon, about 65, 66 degrees at most. So we haven't had a day like this fall where we didn't even hit 70 and factor in the winds. It will not feel any warmer than this. I know my kiddos have football this afternoon. They're going to be excited that it's not going to be so hot for one of the first times. By the way, speaking of cool weather, this morning it felt like about 40, 42 when we woke up. Some folks going to be feeling like there is a frost, 35 Gulf weight tonight. Now, actual low temperature is going to be more like 40, 42, 43 degrees, but shave a little bit off because winds are still going to be gusting up to about 15 miles an hour out of the north tomorrow morning. So again, it's going to feel like 30s for the great majority of the viewing area. I think this is going to be the evening that when I go to bed, I'm going to go ahead and switch on to auto for the heater to kick on so that we are not freezing under blankets and all my kiddos freezing tomorrow morning, and the house would get quite cold with it feeling like 35, 38 degrees. Again, the wind is the story for today. It's dry. It stays cool. We only top out in the 60s, and winds are going to be gusting upwards of 35, 40 miles an hour, starting to finally calm down to more like 25, 30 mile an hour stray gusts, sustained at 15 by 5 to 7 p.m. I would say we go to bed tonight and winds are going to start to be a non-story, only gusting up to 15, 20 by then. So still on the breezy side, but nothing like what we're seeing throughout this morning and into this afternoon. Futurecast shows quiet weather. It stays dry. We wake up in the 30s, near 40 degrees is what it's going to feel like tomorrow morning, actually be in the low 40s. High pressure, sinking air, and a calm weather pattern over the next couple of days overall. That includes Halloween. We wake up in the low 40s that morning and we only go up to about 70 that afternoon. It is going to be in the 60s and then falling into the upper 50s if you are going out to trick or treat. So that's right around sunset. But winds will be light by then, backing out of the southeast. It is going to be very nice for trick or treat. But if you're like me and you take your kiddos around in the neighborhood on a golf cart or something like that, we're going to be outside for an extended period. I'm definitely going to take a blanket because once the sun goes down, it's going to feel quite cool. You see, we have a slim chance. We have a backdoor cold front. It's not going to impact our temperatures that much. Keep us kind of cool, mostly cloudy on Saturday though, and by I'd say 10-20% we're seeing a quick little shower. Nothing like what we saw last weekend. Accumulations are going to be light. I don't know why this is pulling in 39. While ago it was pulling in the correct number that should be there, so I'm going to stand in front of it here. It is going to be in the 60s for trick-or-treating. Once the sun goes down and it's 8, 9, 10 p.m., it's going to be more like upper 50s. So again, really nice for Halloween. By the way, Melissa moving out of Cuba and towards the southeastern portions of the Bahamas throughout the day today. You're going to be hearing about that. Now, it has weakened to a Category 2, winds at 100 miles an hour, but want to mention the Bahamas, elevation, basically none. So I do think you're going to be hearing about flooding, obviously gusty winds still with that activity. Nothing to show you on radar here at home, by the way, again, if you just tuned in. We're windy rest of today. Weather impact alert will expire this evening, as well as those gusty winds. We're going to wake up in the 40s again tomorrow morning and Friday morning. And again, just want to stress, it's going to feel like the 30s for the next couple of mornings. So definitely want to break out those jackets if you didn't quite yet. I would recommend it anyway. Halloween is going to be very, very nice. Trick-or-treat weather in the lower 60s on average and then falling into the 50s after that. So I'm excited to not be burning up in my tornado Halloween costume. I can't wait to post pictures of. Micah, we fall back this weekend. We lose an hour of sleep. Actually,
What?
I think we gain an hour of sleep, but we roll back. So if you have kids, you like this one because they start going to bed earlier.
We are talking fire danger, but we're also talking cold front impacts, right? So there's high fire danger today because of that northwest wind that we've heard and felt all night and into this morning. Finally, we are going to be extra dry and cooler, so don't forget the lotion and the chapstick. If you've already made it to work, hopefully you have some of that on hand. You're going to notice these conditions much drier outside because of these strong northwest winds. And finally, we've got rough and hazardous seas because of the wind as well. So the strongest wind is expected to remain near the coast throughout the day today. Peak wind gust overnight got up to 52 miles per hour at Flower Bluff. So that's where we saw the highest wind. It's still pretty windy across the coastal bend, but it's more so a typical wind, not an excessive wind. But it is a little stronger than our normal day-to-day wind. So we are looking at 31 mile per hour wind gust right now in Corpus Christi and a 33 mile per hour wind gust at the Naval Air Station in Flower Bluff. Good morning, Coastal Bend. Your current time is 10:47 on this October 29th. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. Thank you so much for joining this live update. So we're talking wind. It is windy because of the pressure gradient change. So the high and the low pressure are really close together, and that means the pressure is changing rapidly over a small amount of time or space, essentially. And so because of that, the pressure gradient force is strong as air is flowing from high to low pressure, and that creates a stronger wind gust to the right of that pressure gradient force. And so we are going to see windy conditions throughout the day today. Now our winds will calm a bit overnight, but for now, this pattern is bringing in really dry and much cooler air into the coastal bend. And as we continue into the afternoon and overnight hours, as I mentioned, the wind will get calmer. So there is a wind advisory in place for our coastal counties, also including B County and Refugio County. That's going to be until noon. So once we get into the afternoon, we should have lighter winds. However, gale warning is still until 7 p.m. and humidity is still extra dry, and even any wind around 30 miles per hour or higher, those gusts especially, well really I think 25 miles per hour is the criteria or higher, that elevates our fire danger risk. So fire weather is a big concern today, and so do your part not to start any fires. You know the drill, try not to drag chains as you're towing. Additionally, throwing out cigarettes on the side of the road, not a good idea ever, but especially today. We are going to notice temperatures much cooler in this dry and cool air. We're 15 degrees cooler than the same time yesterday in Corpus Christi. So over the last 24 hours, we peaked in the 90s yesterday. We fell into the 50s this morning. So that's quite the temperature change. In fact, it was almost a 40-degree difference because the high yesterday was 97 degrees. That was a record high, smashed the record of 92 degrees yesterday. Today, well, more so tonight, we'll near the record low. That's 41 degrees. I don't think we get that cold, but on October 30th, that is the record low, 41, and we're going a low of 45 degrees. So again, quite a big change or range in temperatures there. As far as today's high goes, so we're going to be about 75 degrees this afternoon. Our average high is 81. Again, we're still windy, and that's the bigger issue, the bigger impact. It's going to feel nice, though, except for the wind is going to be a little annoying, but also could cause some problems, especially with fire danger, also creating rough and hazardous seas with a gale warning in place. 45 degrees, the low in Corpus Christi, 44 Robstown. We do get down into the low 40s, especially there just northwest of 59. So Freer, George West, you could be flirting with the 30s. Feels like temperatures could be in the 30s. However, our wind is supposed to get calmer, and that's a big reason why we're going to be so cold. It's something called radiational cooling. That is when the Earth loses heat efficiently. I just read Zach's comment, bye summer and hello fall, winter. Yeah, we almost kind of skipped fall and headed straight into winter. Our normal low on Halloween is 61, and we're going to be 45 tomorrow. So that's a little extreme, but it's still going to be It's still fall weather, y'all, so enjoy. Goodbye, summer. Radiational cooling, again, is when the Earth loses heat efficiently, meaning when we don't have clouds and our humidity is low and our winds are calm, there's no factors that are adding heat to the surface. All that's happening is heat that the Earth naturally emits at night from the ground, essentially, is just going to escape into space. If we had cloud coverage, it would act as a blanket and keep that heat trapped. So we actually tend to be a little warmer overnight when we have clouds. Obviously, we're cooler during the day because the clouds are blocking the sunlight. But overall, it's going to get cold, y'all, because of radiational cooling. And we're going to stay that way Thursday into Friday. Saturday and Sunday, we see more humidity move back in. That's because our winds are going to return back out of the southeast. So we'll be closer to 60, which is our normal low, remember, for this time of year. Well, 61 on Halloween. There's a gale warning again in place until 7 p.m. Red flag warning also until 7 p.m. As I mentioned, we also are dealing with some wind advisories, and those are in place until noon, last I checked. But still, it's a windy day, and the wind is going to create hazardous conditions. Port Aransas, especially near the coast, I expect those wind gusts to be 30 to 35 miles per hour today. 20 to 24 mile per hour sustained winds into the afternoon. Combine that wind with these dry conditions. Look at what our relative humidity is expected to be this afternoon. Yeah, we're talking teens across the majority of the coastal bend. with those gusts around 30 to 35 miles per hour, and that creates that high fire danger. So from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., we are watching our relative humidity below 20%, 40 mile per hour gusts possible, but 35 likely, and dry vegetation on top of that because we really haven't seen a whole lot of rainfall. That's all a disaster setting up. If a fire were to start, it's going to spread rapidly. So no outdoor burning today. Be mindful of the forecast. It is going to be a dangerous one when it comes to fighting fires in the coastal bend. So do your part to kind of help out our firefighters and try not to allow one of those fires to start because they will spread rapidly if they do. Cooler and drier air, of course, is working its way in. High pressure sets up over us, so our wind will calm tonight and into tomorrow. What we are going to notice is this high kind of just hanging out over the area as we head into Halloween, but there is another front on the way. So Halloween, high pressure is dominating. I expect no rainfall, clear skies, beautiful conditions, but our wind is back out of the east-southeast. We get southeast winds into Saturday. We have more humidity, and that weaker front than what we already experienced is set to move through Saturday night into Sunday. That could bring some rain. Dia de los Muertos Festival, Saturday more so evening into the overnight hours. We could be looking at a little rain in the area. Right now it's a low 20-30% chance. So don't cancel your plans or change your plans. Just be aware there is a small chance for some rain. As we head into next week, high pressure dominating once again. It's going to be drier, beautiful weather, fall-like weather. Are you ready? Monkey meter stays in check. We do get around the humid level by Saturday, but it stays comfortable heading into the weekend, which is what we love about our taste of fall, no matter how short it may wind up being here in the coastal bend. Wind forecast. Today's our strongest wind, sustained 18 to 28 miles per hour, but as we look ahead to Saturday and Sunday, those winds do pick back up. 10, 20 miles per hour. We'll have to watch how low our humidity gets on Sunday. We could be talking another fire danger risk, but I don't think anything as extreme as what we are experiencing today. However, our dew points do still remain fairly dry over the next week. So anytime our wind picks up, fires can spread very easily regardless, especially if we continue to go pretty much rain-free in the coastal bend. There's the Harbor Bridge. Of course, work was stalled because of the wind today. And so we'll see if the bridge gets lowered tomorrow or Friday. The wind is much lighter on those days. 75 degrees this afternoon. We're already up to 68 now that it's 10 a.m. So temperatures are warming up with the sunshine. It is windy out there, and that is going to continue through the afternoon. Check it out, 75 your high today. We are going to work our way up to about 84 degrees by Saturday. So Saturday is the warmest day on the 7-day forecast. We'll see that cold front swing through. It's weak, but don't forget to change your clocks back as well. We'll keep the fall-like weather as our clocks fall back with sunshine in the forecast and really pleasant conditions, to be honest, next week. I'm looking forward to it.